So what is Kari's law? What is Baum's act? Why this act came into picture? From when this act came into picture, and why those acts are. So first, let's understand what is Kari's law. So what does Kari's law mean? So in traditional PBXs or in traditional telephony systems, whenever we dial external number, we used to have an option of 9, and then we dial the external number, or we used to have 011 and then we dial the external number. Hello everyone, this is Satish here. Um, my today's session is more around 911 services or our emergency services. So when it comes down to states, and in the states what we call as E911, but when it comes down to in different countries it is called as different numbers. For example, if we move towards United Kingdom, you'll have this called as 112, where you dial for any kind of an emergency when it comes down to Microsoft Teams or from the telephony perspective. So that's more around the emergency calling services, and uh, we'll be talking more specific about the Rebams Act and the Carries Law, which came into effect for the states. So every customer that is in the states specifically would require to have and adhere towards the 911 services. My name is Satish. Like you know, I work here at Softel as a Microsoft 365 architect, and in addition to that, I'm a Microsoft Teams MVP as well. So we'll cover about introductions. We'll have what is RABAMSAC, what is Carey's Law, what are the 911 services, what services comes in when, and how we would be configuring the 911 services, and we'll look at the live demo before we have and hop into the question and answer session as well. Something about me: 10 years of experience working with Microsoft Unified Communication Services, deploying Microsoft Teams. Uh, Started with OCS, from OCS to Skype for Business, from Link to Skype for Business, from Skype for Business to Microsoft Teams now, helping different organizations across different countries like India, China, where the telco regulations are more strict for Microsoft Teams voice implementations. In addition to this, I also help various uh, government organizations in states, in Canada, in the other regions as well for their Teams voice implementation. I am based out of Toronto, Canada. So in case if you have any questions, even after the session, you can reach out to me via my blog site or via Twitter or LinkedIn as well. So you would be able to reach out to me on any of the options specified here. So what is Kerry's law? What is Baum's act? Why this act came into picture? From when this act came into picture, and why those acts are. So first, let's understand what is Kerry's law. So what does Kerry's law mean? So in traditional PBXs or in traditional telephony systems, whenever we dial external number, we used to have an option of 9, and then we dial the external number, or we used to have 011 and then we dial the external number. But based on the Carey's law, the it's an utmost requirement that when you are dialing 911, or when you are dialing any emergency services, for example in other countries, if you're dialing 112 or if you're dialing 100 100, in any region or any country, those numbers should not require prefix. The law came into the picture because of an incident that happened, because of which uh, since the daughter did not know that she needs to dial 9 in before dialing 911, um, because of that one specific reason, Carrie Hunt lost her life, and that's the reason why the law was named after Carrie Hunt as well. So that's one of the main thing in terms of the Carrie's law. You don't need to dial any additional digit while you are dialing 911 or any emergency services from any of the telephony platform altogether. So what does Rebam's Act states and what's that's required? Now, when Rebam's Act is more specific. So let's take an example. If someone is dialing 911, so right now I am in Toronto. If I'm dialing 911, where exact location of mine should be sent across to the local PSAP. So any, so the precise location information needs to be, the precise location data needs to be sent to the uh, safety department for the emergency calls, including as much detail as possible. So Rebam's Act states more precise geolocation of the user account or the user which dial 911. So basically, Kerry's law and Rebam's Act talks about all those things. Both of the laws came into effect in 2022. It was a mandate that any new telephony services that were enabled after 2022 needs to be having the capabilities, and by 2023, the 1st of Jan 2023, this was enforced. And if you are not having this configurations configured in your telephony services, it is a violation of the 911 services in states specifically. So before I move next, I have a quick poll questions that I wanted to check if we can get that quickly added up. Let's see. So this is the question. So when did Rebamsack and Kerry's law came into force? So if you could uh, please vote, it would be helpful. I just provided the answer for this question, so it would be helpful for understanding as well for your standpoint. I'll go ahead and close the polls. So basically, the acts came into effect in 2022. That's a mandate that was required, and post that we had to have the uh, we had to have the 911 services into place so that everyone can have the capabilities, and every 911 services are enforced and available as well. Now, moving on to the 911 services perspective, how the 911 configurations are there. So there are different types of 911. So there are three types of 911 services. One is a static 911, the other one is a dynamic 911, and the third one is registered emergency calling services. So static 911 is where your 911 address always remains constant. So if I am based out of 61 CIBC Square, Toronto, irrespective whether I am at my home or I am at the office premises, it would always be static. So that's what we call it as a static 911 services. The dynamic 911 services is when we have the services running dynamically. And so let's take an example. Uh, if I am in 61 CIBC Square, Toronto, if I am moving from 61 CIBC Square to my home location, it would dynamically update the geolocation based on my home premises where I am uh, calling in from. So that's what the dynamic 911 services is all about. And then registered emergency location or registered emergency calling services. So that's more around having a registered address for each DID. So let's take an example. If your dynamic 911 services is not working or was not confirmed, it would fail over to the registered emergency calling service. So that's more around the registered emergency calling services. Quick overview of the dynamic 911 services with Microsoft Teams. If you are familiar with the platform, there are three ways how you would be able to configure Teams Voice. One is Microsoft Calling Plans, the other one is Operator Connect, and the third one is Direct Routing. So, Calling Plan is something that provides you Dynamic 911 out of box with Microsoft Teams, where Microsoft takes care of all your Dynamic 911 services. But when it comes to Direct Routing, it depends upon your existing carrier, whether it is AT&T or Verizon or Lumen, or you have British Telecom, or you have Vodafone or Tatacom or Telefonica, any of those carriers which are there. It totally depends upon them whether they support the Dynamic 911 services or not. So it totally depends for them for supporting the dynamic services altogether. In addition to the 911 services, so let's take an example. If someone dials 911.
Schön, dass du bis hierher geschaut hast. Wenn du das Video weiterschauen möchtest, dann melde dich einfach auf unserer Lernplattform M365 Circle an. In der Videobeschreibung findest du den Link, wie du da hinkommst, und du kannst dir natürlich auch für eine unserer weiteren Summits, M365 Summits, ein Ticket holen, kostenfrei, oder du unterstützt uns mit einem Supporter-Ticket. Also, klick auf den Link in der Beschreibung und schau dir das vollständige Video an. Wenn du uns weiter noch unterstützen möchtest, dann kannst du auch unseren YouTube-Channel abonnieren und am besten noch die Glocke aktivieren. Und vielen Dank, dass du bei der nächsten Summit auch mit dabei bist.